Subhanallah, how is it that two people can look at the exact same thing and see two very different things at the same time? Two very different experiences. You see, the reality that we live in, this may sound a little out there, but hear me out. The reality that we live in is nothing more than a reflection of our perception of that reality. You see, what I mean by that is how we perceive the world to be, how we understand it, how we interpret it based on our experiences, based on our current situation, based on our religion, based on our guidance, based on where we grew up, and so forth. This kind of plants the way on how we think and creates a thought process in our head on how we perceive the world to be. You see, in philosophical circles and psychological circles, you'll hear the concepts of an abundance versus scarcity mindset, a positive versus negative attitude, a glass half full, glass half empty kind of a thing. And what that means is when we're looking at an object, an inanimate thing that has no life in and of itself, somebody could look at a car and say, that's the dream car. I wish one day I'm able to buy this. I would love to do that. That's my dream car. And somebody else could look at that car and say, if you gave me that for free, I wouldn't touch it. I wouldn't drive it. I would not go anywhere near it. SubhanAllah, same car, nothing changed, but then two very different experiences, two very different realities. And why is that? It's because of how we think, how we perceive the world to be. In the Quran it says, فَاذْكُرُونِي أَذْكُرْكُمْ وَاشْكُرُوا لِي وَلَا تَكْفُرُونَ. So remember me, I will remember you. And be grateful to me, وَلَا تَكْفُرُونَ, and do not commit kufr. But in this ayah, the kufr here means to be ungrateful. And this is fascinating, because how can one be grateful if you have a negative mindset, a negative attitude, a glass half empty? If you look at things with a scarcity mindset, say, well, I have a car, but it's not great. I have a house, but it's not a mansion. I have food, but it's not a lot. I have money, but it's not a ton. If you have that kind of a mindset, how can you appreciate what God has given you? Because the reality is that God has specifically chosen you to have these blessings. Whether it's a car, a house, family, friends, a location, an education, whatever the case is, God has specifically chosen you. You were handpicked, hand-selected by God to receive this blessing. And you're looking back at God and saying, yeah, I don't really like it. I don't really care for it. Why can't you give me something better? It doesn't work like that. It's not a menu. You don't get to choose. God has given you these things and you have a responsibility that comes with them and how you're going to act with them. And these things can decide how you perceive the world, subhanAllah. So we have to Islamically adopt a positive mindset and attitude towards the world that we live in. Now, that doesn't mean you become oblivious to reality. That doesn't mean you live in the clouds and you ignore all the pains and sufferings. Of course not. These things are reality as well. But when we try to adopt this philosophy, this mindset, we can look at pains and negatives and sufferings in a different light. We can see them as tests. We can see them as a way to grow and become stronger. This is what it's meant to do for us. And by doing that, by God's will, we do become better people and we do get more blessings in different ways. These things manifest themselves in different ways. SubhanAllah, but we need to become a people who understand how to look at life under the light and guidance of Islam, which is to have a positive outlook and a positive attitude. And even in suffering, be grateful. And even in pain, be grateful. And even when you have good and blessings, be grateful. SubhanAllah. So we thank Allah for all the blessings that we have, all the sufferings that we have, all the pains that we go through, all the difficulties that we have in our lives, because these were specifically chosen for us. And we ask Allah to remove our sufferings, remove our pains and our burdens, and to grant us blessings and happiness and joy in this dunya, and to grant us the akhirah. Barakallah feekum. Take care.